Airports Company South Africa is celebrating 30 years of existence with the state-owned company, still enjoying more than 80% of market share. Since its inception in 1993, ACSA has evolved into the leading airport management company on the African continent, setting new industry benchmarks and becoming a symbol of national pride. It is also a good example of public-private partnerships, with government owning over 70% of the company. But for more on this, we are joined by ACSA CEO Mpumi Mpofu. Mpumi, good morning to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
I think let's start off with what the activities are looking like then to mark your 30th anniversary for ACSA.
We have a calendar that's actually very exciting over this extended birthday celebration of our 30th anniversary. We start off with a series of events in this particular week, which will include showcasing our achievements over the particular 30-year period. Most important is really just to remind all South Africans what the airports in South Africa look like 30 years ago, or even less than that. I don't know how many people remember Johannesburg or even Jan Smuts Airport in comparison to today's world-class OR Tambo. So in essence, we'll be celebrating, and we're also going to August month with an emphasis of the role of women have played in aviation, but also at ACSA. And then we'll also play a very important role as part of October Transport Month with the Minister of Transport, looking at activities that integrate airport developments and other sectors such as rail, the Gautrain at our airports, and other activities in the freight sector that will illustrate the important role that ACSA has played over the 30 years.
Yeah, I think when you go back to Jan Smuts Airport, you certainly are really taking us back into time. It feels like a very long time ago when you look at just the size and, the grandeur of even what OR Tambo looks like in comparison to so many other airports on the continent. I'm keen to hear from you if you think the recipe to success is that public-private partnership, of course, with government having the biggest stake there. Is this the future of managing businesses that are state-owned moving forward, perhaps?
This particular model is actually more successful internationally, and I think there's evidence to show that, because what it does allows for much more diverse views around the future strategy of the company, but more importantly, the investment focus that the company should be taking. So it has helped us to have the government ownership diluted by interested parties. But I must hasten to add that when you do dilute state ownership, you do so, and you need to do so, with companies and investors that have a common trajectory of objectives as the state. So it's a long-term investment. And those who come and look for a quick buck by investing in an airport are in the wrong place, because, as has been illustrated, the other shareholder for ACSA is PIC, who actually does share a long-term perspective of investment returns with the state, and has alignment in objectives with the state in terms of what ACSA should be doing. So yes, it's exciting, but that alignment is actually key, because if you have a conflict in investor interest, that actually doesn't bode well for company performance.
Yeah, and I immediately think when you speak about, being able to convince the investor to make the long-term investment, I think about, the tough times that certainly the aviation space has had coming out of COVID-19. I mean, what's the recovery looking like for ACSA, particularly coming out of the hard knocks that were COVID-19?
Well, let me just indicate, we have recovered and was still on the road to recovery. We are basically at around, we've closed the previous financial year at 76% overall recovery, but there's a variation, and the variation is in relation to the following areas. International is doing less well compared to our domestic market. Our various airports are also recovered at different rates, with some of the smaller airports already have exceeded 100% of pre-2019 performance levels, and that's to be expected. But where we have a greater contribution of international, which is really still not performing on par, there you see importantly the underperformance. But we're actually working on diversifying our international source market portfolio through route development, traffic development, and just getting more bilateral air services agreement and more frequencies allocated to the international airlines so we can recover on international. It also has an impact again then on the domestic market to distribute those international passengers into the country. So that's going to be a good thing for us to do in this next period, and our recovery depends on it. The projection is that we'll fully recover in 2025 and we'll be back overall to the 2019 performance levels.